call what you may, superhero movies are made super because of the villains. The bigger the threat, the cooler the victory. So when we pit our mortal heroes against some badass overpowered villains, we know shit's about to get real. Now, the MCU's not known for a memorable lineup of villains, but the ones we do remember were overpowered AF. So today, we're looking at all the villains whose powers can put our heroes to shame. A name that suits the job, Abomination was a sight, wasn't he? The Incredible Hulk was probably the first and last MCU movie that wasn't a theme park ride. It was dark, it was gritty, it had Edward Norton as Hulk and Emil Blonsky's Abomination. Blonsky's ego got the better of him as he injected himself with Bruce Banner's gamma-radiated blood. And the result was there for everyone to see. The Abomination, a deformed gamma-infused monster who could match Hulk's power. Abomination was truly a monster, and he never stopped being cruel. Hulk versus Abomination rampaging through the darkness of Harlem was some exhilarating action. Hulk not only got his ass beaten for most of the fight, but it also looked like Abomination was smarter than Bruce. His superhuman strength, durability, stamina, leaps, and downright craziness make him one of the best in the terror department.
You don't deserve this power.
I control the truth! Mysterio is the truth!
From sheer strength and brutality, we move to a sly genius who did more damage than Abomination. Mysterio was a man on a mission to destroy Tony Stark's legacy. Get in line, pal. Mysterious, however, was the most successful of the lot. It turns out, if you can create new realities and manipulate people with illusions, you can pretty much do anything. So Quentin Beck's come back for vengeance after being ignored by Stark for years. He practically makes Peter give up Edith in broad daylight, and coupled with his holographic technology, launches a full-blown attack. Mysterio was always about the big gestures, like creating the illusions of the elementals and using an army of drones as a shield. The way a group of ex-employees of Stark Industries banded together and brought down our friendly neighborhood web-slinger was phenomenal, and he even exposed Peter's identity to the Daily Bugle. Man, Mysterio left Spidey messed up.
Not anymore.
Alexander the Great, Ronan the Accuser, all great personalities have cool names. Unlike Alexander though, Ronan was uber powerful. If you go by a linear timeline, Ronan first appeared to destroy Skrulls on Earth, but instead got scared so much by Captain Marvel that he had to run away. But it's not because Ronan was any less powerful, he was just, unprepared. To be honest, no one saw Captain Marvel's glorious blasts coming. The powerful Ronan comes in the Guardians of the Galaxy when he schemes with Thanos. But Ronan, being Ronan, eventually betrays him and gets his ass beaten by the Guardians instead. You can't help but notice how much the MCU nerfed the comics Ronan. He's the best a Kree can be and then some. Dude literally lifted Drax the way Donald Trump grabbed them by... Anyway, let's move on. He's huge, dominating, and has superhuman strength, durability, and agility. But more than that, Ronan is smart, and I'm talking crazy smart. With his Cosmi Rod and Power Stone Orb, Ronan did become a formidable villain, albeit just for a short time.
You think I care?
People love to hate Age of Ultron for its laughably weak villain, but Ultron in the comics leaves a long trail of defeated superheroes behind him. He's like a walking, talking computer virus who spent like 5 minutes on the internet and decided humanity needs to go. Like, that's it. No second thought about it or anything like that. Kudos though to us humans for giving a robot the creeps. Ultron has a steel will along with a steel body and a steely ice voice.
Just makes me stronger.
He's basically an infant, and it took all the Avengers to come together to beat him. Talk about power. Ultron is a master tactician as he manipulated the Maximoff twins to set his elaborate plot rolling. But the best power of Ultron is his robot entity. He takes the shape and form of any robot and quickly transforms his consciousness to another inanimate object. Basically, he had an indestructible body. When all the Avengers can't do shit against you and they gotta call an Infinity Stone to beat you, then you know you're super awesome.
You're unbearably naive.
Well, I was born yesterday.
People just don't give enough credit to how powerful Loki is. Of course, he's a god with a mouth, but his powers are more than his speeches. For instance, Loki's signature move puts him way ahead of any Asgardian villains in terms of impact. He can take the shape, the form, the appearance, and the identity of any living being he wants. And on top of that, dude is fluid all the way. He doesn't mind gender or species. This amount of power in the wrong hands is devastating. In the comics, Loki even rebuilt himself as a Lady Loki after Ragnarok. Also, a big shout out to everyone watching the new Loki series. It is definitely dope. The God of Mischief is also a master fighter. In hand-to-hand fights, Loki wins against Thor almost all the time. He's smarter, he's agile, and he doesn't mind fighting dirty. If he needs some extra powers, there's his frost giant identity as well. Loki can turn into an ice giant and freeze anyone. Overpowered indeed.
Sit! Stop it!
I told you, I don't want to do this alone.
It's no wonder that if you're literally a living planet, then you're going to be quite powerful. And Ego is just that, a goddamn planet. In the MCU, Ego is a celestial, a group of primordial creatures with godlike powers. Ego's a rampaging force of a planet that wants to engulf the entire universe and turn it into himself. And that's why he explored planets and left his seeds on each of them. Looks like he's pretty powerful down there as well. He can manipulate energy and matter, and that's how he created an entire planet by himself. He can form into anything he wants, has light beams and energy to throw at people, and he doesn't mind killing his offsprings whenever he wants. In terms of craziness, Ego is definitely up there with Thanos, as he tried to fuse himself with his son Peter and manipulated him. So, guess there's no Father of the Year award for Ego then.
What's so wrong with that? No! It's not possible.
Darling, you have no idea what's possible.
From crazy father to crazy sister, power runs in superhero families. Hela is the daughter of Odin and his partner in crime. Together they ran through civilizations, decimating everything that stood in front of them. Odin united the 9 realms and ruled them with his iron fists. But Hela was a different beast. Her lust for power grew as she wanted to enslave the entire galaxy. Odin, though, didn't vibe with the craziness of his daughter, which he flamed in the first place. So he imprisoned her in hell, and only after his death did Hela come back to regain her throne. Now, at first glance, Hela is scary, no doubt. Those long horns and goth eyes are the stuff of nightmares. Well, or wet dreams, because honestly, she is awesome. Anyway, Hela's powers are limitless. She's practically immortal. She has the strength of her brother Thor, smartness of Loki, and agility and durability above everyone. Her powers are best shown when she destroyed the iconic Mjolnir in seconds without even flinching an eye. One of the most powerful weapons in the universe, and 2 of the most powerful Asgardians there are, nothing could beat Hela Odin's-dottir. On top of that, she has weapon, structure and armor manifestation. The goddess of death can also bring anyone back to life. Seriously, all you need is one Hela in your team and you're set for a home run. No one could beat Hela, but they didn't have to. Ragnarok is the most famous event in Nordic mythology. It means the destruction of Asgard, the end of the world. And who better than Surtur to end worlds? Odin defeated Surtur before he could initiate Ragnarok, imprisoned him and took away his source of power, the eternal flame. So when no one could defeat Hela, Loki brought the party to her. Surtur's biggest strength, no points for guessing this, is fire manipulation. This is no ordinary fire though, it's the world-ending waves of fire the demon produces. Coupled with his crown and twilight sword, Surtur takes his ultimate form, a giant flame that causes the Ragnarok. A fully evolved Surtur is not a match for anyone, not even Hela. The fact stays, Thor, the god of thunder, had to run away with his people because Surtur destroyed their home and they couldn't do jack shit. Pop quiz now. Surtur versus Hela. Who do you think would win in a fight? Do you really believe Hela died in Ragnarok? It's bargaining time.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
The villain behind the famous meme, Dormammu, has a stupendous set of powers. For starters, he's an interdimensional being who endeavors worlds and his eyes are set on Earth. He's the absolute ruler of the dark dimension and he wants the universe to be shrouded by his own darkness. To understand how powerful Dormammu can be, think Galactus, but darker and more magical. He can manipulate the dark dimension which warps around him to form his face and limbs. He's pretty much immortal and can bestow magic on others, like the freaking god that he is. Anyway, you may have seen Doctor Strange defeating Dormammu by repeating the same event and imprisoning him in a time loop. I like to think that Dormammu withdrew from that fight, not so much as got beaten by Tony Stark on discount.
Set me free!
No, I've come to bargain.
Ah, the Mad Daddy. I mean Titan. Thanos was one mean villain, wasn't he? He was probably the most memorable supervillain in the last decade or so. Thanos' powers are well documented right through the MCU. From the Avengers to the Endgame, we saw the purple dick emoji turning into a badass villain, and it took the whole of Avengers not once, but twice to beat him, and that too, just by the whiskers. To start with, Thanos comes from Titan, and he's an evil version of the Eternals called the Deviants. He's the cousin of Athena, the Eternal we'll see in a few months, played by Angelina Jolie. Thanos was the epitome of power. He could handle anything, literally anything. Hulk strength? Beaten. Loki's wit? Beaten. Thor's hammer and thunder? Forget it, beaten. Captain America and Iron Man? Beaten to dust. No Avengers could do anything to him. He's got super strength, durability, agility, combat skills, and one smart brain. Only Scarlet Witch and Captain Marvel could harm him to an extent, but he still found ways to survive. The Avengers had to bring an army and had to fight him twice to turn him to dust. Thanos may have died, but the memes live on. Despite what most people think, if you take a long, hard look, you'll find the Marvel villains to be quite invincible. They've had one thing going against them, the plot armor. Villains have to be defeated in order for heroes to strive. But if we had an even playing field, I bet most of these heroes would be eaten for breakfast. So who do you think is the most powerful villain in the MCU? Also, do you think that Wanda Maximoff is actually a villain? Tell us in the comments below. Like and share the video with your homies and tell us how wrong they are about Marvel villains. Subscribe to the TV Region to see what we have in store for you next time.